Who express themselves through their cars. Tonight, our Leonard Villarreal begins a three-part series which takes a close-up look at the lowrider, the car, and the lowrider, the person.
Looking back, the lowrider craze has been around since about 1968. As stories go, it started in Los Angeles by a man who experimented with aircraft hydraulics, adding them to the front and to the rear of his car. At the touch of a fingertip, the attitude of the vehicle could be changed, raised or lowered in the front or the back. Since Henry Ford started rolling horseless carriages off the assembly line, different phases of automania have come and gone. But the lowrider has so far survived for 14 years. And indications are this unique style of customizing cars will continue for many years to come. Not only is the lowrider craze popular in Southern California, but it's spreading to other parts of the globe.
A guy from Sweden may comes once every 3 years, and he buys like $5,000 to $6,000 worth of equipment. He takes it back. He got a upholstery shop, and he sells it out of there. And then he tells me you only get to cruise over there in Sweden for 4 months out of the year, but they're still cruising. So he ain't just in the United States, he's going all over now.
Many of the people who are driving lowriders now were knee-high to a lug wrench when the craze started. As youngsters, the cars of the older guys in the Chicano community were something to be envied, something to have.
Most of us were brought up in the society where you're young and you see an older guy with a nice car, and pretty soon that's all you really want to do is go out and buy yourself a nice lowrider, and just like any other a guy that's in, growing up and part of the town, that's, it's part of it.
This is 13-year-old Chris Favila. He likes the idea of driving a fine machine, but he's a little too young to be a lowrider, so he's developed the next best thing, a lowrider bicycle. In Chris's micro-community, a lot of heads will turn when he pedals by, so otherwise in a generally non-caring society, he can be showered with some attention, awe, and envy. In the same respect, the person whose hobby is lowriding can also attract attention, and in many communities, respect.
Respect is really something that you do see. You'll drive around town and a lot of people will just be in total amazement, total awe of seeing a car go up and down. It's something that most people can't realize, that it could ever possibly be done, but why not?
For the male lowrider, the machine can also attract the young ladies. Many young women find a social advantage in their association with lowriders.
Well, it's a lot different than going out with somebody that isn't. I mean, you usually get to know all of their friends and get to know a lot of people when you're out with somebody that, has a nice car or whatever, because they know a lot of people. And it's a lot more fun.
Initially, the lowrider came from the Mexican-American community, but as time passes, that ethnic stereotype is beginning to fade.
Your race doesn't mean you can't turn a wrench. It is mostly the Chicano race, but it's not all that way. Our club especially, we have all races, and we are not prejudiced by any means. We have a lot of representatives of different races, and for the most part, everybody gets along fine.
Now, cruising, car clubs, and the mechanical formation of the car can create problems with the law for the lowrider. Later on in the series, we'll take a look at those problems, and tomorrow we'll take a closer look at the car itself. Leonard Villarreal, 10 News on special assignment.
Here's secrets, how to make your car move in unusual ways. Leonard Villarreal reports when his special series on lowriders continues tonight on 10 News at 5.
Lowrider drives a special kind of car. Leonard Villarreal is here now with part 2 of his special report on lowriders.
Harold, it's time to fasten your safety belt. We're going to go on the road. A lot of people really get a kick out of watching a lowrider drive, or in some cases, hop by. But many people really don't understand the car or why people would spend so much money and time to cruise around town. Well, today we'll show you what the car can do and why people feel it's important.
Saw a lowrider cruising down Sunset who had an amazing machine.
To qualify as a lowrider, and more importantly to many who want to join clubs, the first thing that has to be done to your stock car is the addition of rims. A decent set of rims, sans tires, will generally run between $500 and $600. Next is tires. The smaller, the better. Volkswagen-sized tires are usually used for most luxury-sized cars. Generally speaking, the undersized tires are not legal for the weight of the car, but more about that later. A set, $160. Next, for those who can afford to go on, is the installation of hydraulics. The entire kit, including switches, but not counting installation, runs about $390. The pumps are installed in the trunk, and the fluid lines run from front to back. Also needed are 5 to 6 batteries to supply power, another legal problem, and also another $200 average cost. The batteries have to be charged independently of the system. Next is the paint job. Now that can really vary. This paint costs $1,100. Add that to the base of a used car and the investment is close to $10,000. Is it a waste of money?
No, everything you do here is pretty much almost like a 85–90% return on your money. Once you maybe sell parts or something of the sort, you can get almost all your money back. It's something that I completely checked into that before I spent it, and it's something that can be done.
Like a lot of people say, you know, work hard, and you save it, and what you really want, you get. Like a lot of people want sports cars, lowriders, but you try to get everything new as possible.
Other people invest money in different ways. They blow it by playing a sport or fixing some other type of automobile. We do it in our lowriders, and that's the way we spend some of our money. Not all of our money goes into our cars. You know, whatever the little money we do have to spare, we like to sink it into our cars.
At an additional expense, blocks of metal can be attached to the bottom of the car. While cruising, the car can be dropped to its lowest level. The result is called scraping. On public streets or highways, scraping is illegal, but nonetheless, it happens. The hydraulic system in this car is quite unique. At $1,000, it ought to be. Instead of the straight up and down motion, it goes side to side. And while it's a little tough on the frame, jumping is still quite popular.
Most of the tricks these cars do constitutes illegal activity on public streets. Tomorrow, we'll get into that, as well as taking a look at the reputation of trouble that seems to follow lowriders.
All right, thanks, Leonard. A most interesting report, I'll tell you.
Concludes his special report on lowriders and looks into some of the problems the car clubs have with the law. Leonard?
Tonight, Harold, it is the lowriders and the law. So far in our series, we've looked at the fun and the spirit of the lowrider, but there's also a very serious side to the attention these cars and drivers receive. It seems for many lowriders, trouble of various degrees seems to follow.
In many parts of San Diego County, this scene along Highland Avenue in National City is an all too frequent sight.
Race front and rear batteries in trunk, cut A-frame, and mismatched tires for rims.
Okay, well,
You're going to give me a ticket for all that?
yeah, that's what we told you.
All three of them citations?
All three of them, plus what I already saw. You're bouncing on the street, and you don't have a driver's license. What else do you want me to do?
While many lowriders customize their cars to suit their own taste, in many respects, they do not comply with the California Vehicle Code.
Well, we've still got the hydraulic lifts which are on the cars, very small tires for the cars that they're driving. In other words, the cars or the tires are not equipped for the weight that they're having put on them. We've got several batteries and trunks which could cause an extreme danger if involved in accidents, that type of thing. Small steering wheels, things that make it very hard to control that car if necessary on the road, say for example in an emergency situation, yet in a normal driving situation.
Many lowriders feel police agencies are picking on them. Others have learned the ropes. Does Doug Saldino feel he's being picked on?
In a way, yes, but in a way, no, because some officers, they can be really against you, and some will be, with you, just as long as you're doing, you're not, using your hydraulics, hitting the switch while you're driving and stuff. If you're in a parking lot off the side of the road, or with a bunch of friends, they won't mess you unless you're doing illegal, like in the streets, like scraping or hopping or something.
Cruising has created a lot of problems for the lowrider, especially in National City. For a few years now, this stretch of Highland Avenue has been closed off to through traffic on nights when the cruising has interfered with the normal flow of traffic. National City Police consider the off and on Friday night closure as part of their selective enforcement program. Officials say crime, among other things, forced them to take action. While officials recognize the action affects the freedom of members of car clubs, they do not blame the problems on lowriders.
Back in the 60s, when the car clubs first came about, the car clubs were fighting amongst each other. They apparently didn't just total disregard for their vehicles or whatever. They were the problems when I was back in school. I think at that point is the problem, or the reason that a lot of people today like to stereotype everybody, lowrider. That's why I don't like the term lowrider. Today, you've got the lowriders or car club members or gang members all trying to cruise together, and it's the gang members who have a total disregard for everything.
Outsiders, or wannabes as they're called, also create other problems for organized clubs. For example, members of the City Car Club meet on this bakery parking lot every Friday night. The purpose is to discuss club business, plan car shows, dances, and activities with other clubs. The area of property is on the border between National City and San Diego. Members of the car club police themselves and clean up after themselves. As a result, the relationship with the San Diego Police Department is good.
Yeah, we're not having any problems here at all. They're real cooperative, and when something does happen, they are asked to leave. They do leave, real organized, and they do have a system with the owner of the bakery here that the next morning, the lot is a mess with the bottles and the papers, they come back and clean it up. And we've never had any complaints from him or anybody else that hangs around.
The reason this National City group meets in San Diego is because National City Police won't allow the congregation in its territory, again blaming the problems on the outsiders.
You've got the outsiders coming in. They see these groups gathering. The outsider wants to come in and see what's going on, or he's attracted to the gathering. At that point, you end up with a lot of alcohol. When you end up with a lot of alcohol, you end up with words being thrown or logos from the different areas, and you end up with problems.
No matter who's creating the problem, everyone suffers, including some merchants along Highland Avenue. In recent months, the boulevard closures have been significantly decreased, but closures still have an impact. George Webster with the National City Chamber of Commerce says he no longer perceives a problem, saying police and lowriders have worked out a solution. He said merchants cooperated with police because, although closures restricted trade, it also brought a variety of people back into the area.
Lowriders, members of car clubs more specifically, feel they've been given a bad rap by San Diego society in general because they're different. Some of the criticism is deserving, much is not. For example, yesterday a woman called and said, "We're making lowriding look too good." And because of that, she feels a lowrider type would come by in the dead of night and steal her car to convert it. So perhaps with a little more understanding, a group of people who take pride in a different kind of car will be recognized as hobbyists and not hoods. And that is a look at lowriders. I want to give a